All right, good morning. Welcome to our channel. Today, we're going to discuss the Section 8 voucher and eligibility. I'm going to try to keep this very simple for you guys. So, give me 1 second. We're going to switch up screens and then we're going to discuss the core elements. If you look towards the bottom here of the screen, you'll see my little old face, and I'm going to bring in some information for those that may have visual impairment. In other words, I'm bringing notes on the screen that'll help you guys a little bit. So, Section 8 housing choice voucher, and am I eligible to apply? And first thing we're going to go over is going to be income eligibility. So this is the most important requirement. Either you meet the income requirements or you don't, and a lot of this has to do with you being low income. Now, applicants generally must have low income based on household annual gross income, which is every dollar earned and deposited in your bank account is considered income, along with other assets, which I'm not going to get too deeply in. Second to that's going to be household size, composition, how many people are there. The more people, the less the payment, but the greater you do. And then next, they will take in consideration medium income or medium area income and where you want to live. Different areas are definitely going to be either more affordable or less affordable. So then we look at the two measures in which they're going to consider for income. Extremely low income, generally at or below 30% area in medium income, and very low income, generally below 50% below AMI or area medium income. It's probably a lot better to be very low income in consideration to waiting list. So next we're going to move to family eligibility. HUD defines a family broadly. You may qualify if you are a single adult, married couple, a family with children, a senior citizen, a person with disabilities, a veteran, and a household with multiple related or unrelated people. Okay, so that goes on to describe who may also be in the family composition and qualify. Moving on from there, also you do not need to have children to qualify. I think that's probably old thinking from the 80s that the more kids you have, the more you qualify, and that's simply not true under the current system. So number three, citizenship or eligibility and immigration status. Well, as of present in this administration, presidential administration, immigration does matter, and you need to be a legal U.S. resident or otherwise a permanent green holder. Okay, mixed status families and so on do not qualify. In other words, all participants must be here in some legal form or another. And again, I'm not going to get too deep into that as well, just suggesting that if you don't have a status in the US, you will not qualify for any of these programs or be eligible otherwise. Social Security number, you need to have that. If you don't have it, you're not going to qualify. They're not going to guess to that. So applicants generally must provide a valid Social Security number for household members, and this is required by HUD. And that means on applications as well. I know I understand everybody wants to protect their data, but you've got to have that. So moving on from there, background screening. PHAs conduct background reviews depending on federal law, local policy. They may consider criminal history, being an SO or sex offender, drug-related crime activity, previous fraud involving HUD programs, and prior evictions. I'm going to speak on that from experience. And just in case you guys are wondering, I operated and worked at the federal level for nearly 26 years. I've served more than 22,000 clients. And I can tell you when it comes to this, look, if you've ever been convicted of the use of methamphetamines or otherwise distribution, this is going to be a no-go. If you are an SO or a registered sex offender, this is not going to work out. And if you have a contentious criminal history that includes felonies as recent as the last 5 years, this is going to be a problem. And it's not going to be so much a problem with criminal history as it is with the PHA as of present. You're going to find the difficulty is going to be with landlords, okay? Not every criminal conviction results in denial. And so I would advise reach out to my office if you have a complex arrest or criminal record history, okay? So verification of income and assets. Look, guys, there are roughly 14 pages under federal law, and you may be surprised. A lot of things you think are income and assets are not, and many more are. And so you will need a consultant or better in order to help you in that aspect if you have a complex assets or uncertainty in that area. So let's go on to some of the basics. Self-employment income, Social Security, SSI, SSDI, which is Social Security disability, pension income, child support, unemployment benefits, bank accounts, investments, and other assets. And again, that's about 14 pages of stuff. So, and also we should also keep in consideration, if we're going to talk about income and assets, also we should look at medical deductions and other things where you can actually take off income on the basis of material costs because of medical problems. All right. That's something not often brought up. Next up, identity verification. Most PHAs require documentation such as government ID, birth certificates, social security cards, and immigration documents if applicable. And in that case, it might be a greenhold status or one of the other legal statuses under there. If you're unsure about your status, reach out to my office. Okay. Local preferences may move you up and down the list. I'm going to kind of agree and disagree with this list, and I'm going to prioritize it based on what I know. From practicing 22,000 or more cases, the number one person that's going to qualify the most is going to be a person that is a domestic violence victim. Second to that, I'm going to say that a person that is a veteran. Third to that, I'm going to say a person that is a senior. And then fourth to that, I'm going to say disabilities. All the other issues on this list, including displacement, families living and working in a jurisdiction, and so on. All those others are very moot topics. Also, let me put one more up there. So, besides domestic violence, homelessness is a high factor as well. So, I would say to you that veterans, homeless, seniors, and domestic violence, any combination of those will do really well. Also, if you have all of them, you have an extraordinary case. Preferences affect waiting list place of the basic eligibility rules. And remember that every PHA, there's 100 roughly 130 different types of preferences. Housing authorities pick through the list, and each one has different preferences. That's why it's important to review administrative plans to determine which housing authority may be best when applying and determining eligibility. Again, you might want to reach out to my office. Let's go over this because the news has done a great job of making us all think in prejudicial terms, and so many examples. You must have children. That is false. You must be homeless. That is also false. Myth that you must receive welfare. That is also false. I think this comes back to the 80s when the news had a field day, was giving out really highly selective information. And again, that's the reason why these myths exist. So if you want to know the truth, this is available to anybody that qualifies. It's not a basis of what skin color or whether you have a lot of children. Okay, that's just crazy. Checklist for you want to get started. You want to meet your HUD income limits. If you don't know what those are, reach out to my office, or you can get a income standard list, which is your every PHA should offer that either on the website or through them. Qualify as eligible family under HUD rules. Be a U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen. Have required identification documents. Have a valid Social Security number. Be prepared for income, assets, and background verification, and apply when the Housing Choice Voucher Program is open. Keep in mind that when you're applying, there can be lotteries, and then there's also when they open waiting lists, it's based on preferences. They're not the same. And there are roughly 132 different types of programs out there. Some are at federal, state, or even county level, and they have a wide degree of what they may allow and what they may not permit. So it's quite a bit out there. So check at our time. We're at about 8 minutes, and I think I'm going to wrap this up. Look, guys, I've enjoyed talking with you. I'm going to put up open waiting lists from 2 different source websites that I have deemed very safe, where you can check for open waiting lists at any given time. One I'm going to recommend more than the other because of accuracy. I really enjoy talking with you guys. If you look just below me, you'll see my phone number, you'll see our website, and you'll see also the email. You can also find that information in the description is easily where you can click on it or just simply type it in your phone. Beyond that, I've enjoyed talking with you, and do keep in mind my office is by appointment. So you'll need to book an appointment if you want to reach out to me regarding these matters of eligibility or even doing casework for you to help expedite the process. It's been my pleasure. We'll see you again for the next video. Thank you and goodbye.